Hello and welcome to Dramas Over Flowers. I'm Anissa and it's time for the long yak! In this episode, we tackle the recent big news of the DramaFever shutdown and look back a little on how drama watching has changed. Dramas we discuss this time are Buck's Bride Star, The Beauty Inside, Terius Behind Me, The Smile Has Left Your Eyes, also known as 100 Million Stars Falling from the Sky, Player, and Ghost Detective. Saya and I also moon over the delightful Canadian sitcom Kim's Convenience, which, trust us, totally counts as a K-drama. Enjoy!
Hi everyone, this is Saya.
This is Anissa.
And this is Parma. And you're listening to the 10th Yak. Wow, we made through 10 of these.
How did we get to 10? Wow.
The email said it was Yak 9. Wait, I'm confused.
Wait, what? Oh, shoot.
It is 9! Oh my goodness. Somebody can't count.
I can't. Clearly, we made through 9 of these.
Anticlimax, then.
Well,
yeah.
Regardless, it's the long yak. It's Dramas Over Flowers.
So, big week, DramaFever shut down. And I've read so many articles at this point, I can't keep them straight in my head. But yeah, 9 years of service. I just had no idea it was that long. It feels like they were new, like, I don't know, just a couple of years ago. But
were you guys watching dramas when they first came out on the scene? Or did you join K-dramas later?
Yeah, I just came on board like 5 years ago, so I'm not really that, no. And I've never had access to DramaFever, so
yeah, so I think
it's not like, yeah.
It's actually quite funny in the whole DramaFever news is that, of course, everyone in the States is like devastated, and
the rest of the world is like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I've never used them anyway because they just weren't an option for me. But partly because of that, and partly because like my introduction to my first experiences of watching K-drama were not through official channels because they didn't exist. Or at least they didn't exist here in the UK. So you know, and Anise, because you've been pretty much watching it the longest out of the three of us. But like, even if I haven't been watching K-dramas, I've been watching sort of niche stuff for like my entire life. So it's always been a case of like the scene has always been changing. When you watch stuff that is not mainstream, it's always changing. How you watch it, where you watch it, you know, the quality of what's available. So like, to me, it doesn't feel like, you know, the end of the world, but I can see why for people who have only been watching, for example, through DramaFever, it does feel like the world. If you told me that Vicky was shutting down, then I might be like, ah.
Yeah, I would hate that.
I actually, yeah, that would like shake my world. In the same way that it shook when DramaFever was taking other sites down, which I think about maybe half the fandom remember the pre-DramaFever world.
So let's talk about like what exactly happened with the shutdown. You want to just
Okay, so DramaFever was sold in 2016 to Warner Brothers. But in June of this year, AT&T bought out Warner Brothers, which included all of its subsidiaries, which therefore included DramaFever. And I've read around in so many places I can't quite cite each source right now. But part of the reason that Warner Brothers bought DramaFever in the first place is because they were developing this proprietary technology for the streaming technology. So that's actually what's interesting in the story is that though AT&T have, you know, shut down the delivery of DramaFever's service, they have retained the team. I think they've laid off like 22 employees or something. But the tech team, the developers team, that is being absorbed into or has been absorbed into the sort of the bigger
The
body.
new subscription, whatever thing that they're
Well, the
coming up
thing is,
with.
they're
I'm
saying
assuming.
that the new subscription service, which AT&T is planning to launch in about 16 months, is meant to consolidate all of their OTT services. And OTT is over the top, which is like a media over an internet connection, so basically streaming media. And that's the big playing field right now. Everyone wants a piece of that pie, the OTT pie. And when DramaFever started, it wasn't a thing. Like the OTT direct to consumer, what is it called? Niche. It was niche. It was not. It was not a thing that everybody did. But now streaming has become the norm. Streaming is where everything is happening. So
Yeah.
that's why you've got like they've been dwarfed because they may have been like the pioneer in that field, but everyone is bigger than them now. So it is inevitable when you've got a company like AT&T, which is massive. They're not counting in millions, as the Digiday article pointed out. Their numbers are like billions. So it, from a business point of view, like I can see why it happened, even though I don't like it and I don't think it's right. But it's like it's like you've got mail and the shop around the corner being shut down by the chain bookstore. It's like,
except there's no like cute romance between Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan to make the pill less bitter. Yeah.
I always hated that romance. I was like,
Me
how
too.
you destroyed her entire life and livelihood, and now you're like, it's okay because I'm in love with her. No, it's not. Get out. Well, that got personal quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
No,
not my favorite Tom Hanks movie.
I actually like that movie a lot, but not being like.
Oh,
not
I love the movie.
I love
but
the
bookshop part drives me mad.
Yeah, the part where they like fall in love without knowing each other is kind of it's cracktastic.
That's like my favorite trope, right? The correspondence romance where you don't know who they are, which is why I still talk about Cinderella's story and stuff. But
Daddy Long Legs.
yeah, no, not the
Yeah.
bookshop. Sorry, and disclosure for our listeners, because I own a book. Well, not me personally, but like my family has a bookshop, so it's like it's very personal.
Yeah, we get that.
I would not
But
forgive that.
this is the thing now. They have one of the excuses that they gave for shutting down DramaFever is that it's really expensive to license Korean dramas for international, especially American viewers, of course, because that's where DramaFever is. And I think it's gone up to like $1 million, like for one show, which is supposed to be completely unaffordable for them. It just
No, I mean that number is huge. $1 million for a show is huge. That's not at all considering the scale of the operations at places like Viki and DramaFever. Yeah, they're operating at generally a similar scale, I would say.
But the thing is, I mean, they don't have Netflix money, right? Netflix has been throwing around money as if it's just like peanuts.
This is the thing. It's like what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Oh right. Okay, so the numbers, like the original Variety article, I think might have had a typo in its numbers, because if you're saying that originally it was 800,000 and now it's 1 million, well that's not a big difference. But the Digiday
isn't.
It's actually, I do believe that's a typo. The Digiday article has that at 80,000, which makes much more sense.
Yes,
because Viki wouldn't be able to afford that either, and they're paying similar prices for their licenses.
But then again, Viki
they were direct competition to each other, Viki and DramaFever.
Viki doesn't. I'm sorry, just 1 second. I just wanted to point out that Viki doesn't seem to have as broad a catalog as DramaFever does. Most of the dramas that are currently airing, if I can't find it on Viki, they're most definitely on DramaFever. So
I think it also doesn't pay its subbers, so that's a
that is a separate.
They don't have to put.
Do you mind if I lay that out? Sorry, I don't want to cut in. I just want to because I volunteer for Viki, so I know a little bit about how it works on the inside. I'm not like paid by them or anything. I'm a volunteer. About so Viki and DramaFever kind of operate on the same level and scale. So they were each other's direct competition. But what Viki users might have noticed in the last 18 months or so is that Viki had a really hard time getting licenses because DramaFever would get them first. And DramaFever would they had an agreement, and this is kind of, I don't have a source for this, so I might be wrong, but it's kind of what I've heard on the wind in the last year and a half. DramaFever they had an agreement with the cable networks like with TVN and stuff to get TVN dramas. So there was a point, quite a long period where Viki was getting very few licenses, and none of them were cable ones. And the cable shows were the popular ones, the TVN shows.
Yeah.
And then you had what was the other thing you said before that, P? I wanted to address it and I can't remember what it was.
But they don't pay their subbers?
Oh, right.
That was what
so,
he said.
DramaFever, for all its sins and flaws, it did pay everybody properly. Like, whoever was working for DramaFever or providing something to DramaFever, they got paid. So their subbers got paid, the video techs got paid, everyone got paid. Whereas Viki is a for-profit business, and Viki is owned by the Japanese company Rakuten, which I may have pronounced wrongly, which is huge. So they don't seem to be in danger of going down anytime soon, and they've been expanding in Southeast Asia as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Asterisk, I'll come back to this later. Go on.
Okay. So I have a big problem with Viki's business practices, because essentially, and they have a higher subscription rate as well. And Viki has also been providing. They've got what appears to be a partnership with Kakao. And now Kakao is like a consortium of the big three networks in Korea: MBC, KBS, and SBS. The three broadcast networks.
Korean content wave, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what they have done is those three networks have gotten together and introduced their own streaming service to compete with Viki and DramaFever. But it's like, honestly, I feel like Kakao has been a big part of the problem. Because they've bottlenecked the whole licensing thing. So they've got this stranglehold where
they're driving up the price. For the dramas?
They have to go through Kakao to get licenses, and Kakao they're going to sell it to the highest bidder. Okay, they're not interested in the integrity of the fandom, right, or the people who are supporting the services like DramaFever and Viki. So if Netflix is going to pay you $1 million, and the smaller services can only afford 100,000, you're not going to be like, well, I'm going to give it to the little guy. You're going to sell it to your highest bidder, and that has driven up the cost of licensing to the point where I guess DramaFever has not turned over a full year profit, and they were set to end this year with losses in single-digit millions, but still a loss is a loss. So, and Netflix kind of doesn't really care about its debt. They are in huge debt, but they're at this point where they're still able to expand, so they are.
I mean, they've been canceling shows this last couple of weeks,
really?
Yeah.
But I mean, they don't seem like they're about to. I mean, they seem like they're still
do that every season.
They're spending rather than making money.
That's true.
Which every business does. Like, there's a period
Netflix
where you
also doesn't disclose anything, so we just don't.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of speculation that Netflix's growth isn't sustainable, and that's why they're focusing on original programming, because Disney, Disney are launching their own streaming service, I think.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So they're slowly taking back.
Everyone's pulling their content from Netflix. So at some point, Netflix is not going to have the content it currently has, because those companies are trying to produce their rival services. I was going to say something else before that. Oh, back to Viki. So yeah, DramaFever pays people for stuff, and Viki, and their relationship with Kakao, which means that they introduced a tier in their subscription system, which gave access to Kakao content through the Viki service, but it wasn't Viki's content. But the content that is Viki's is it's community subbed, so it's a crowdsourced subbing. But the thing that really annoys me is I don't find quite ethical is that people who pay for a Viki subscription are not paying for access to dramas. They're paying for subtitles on their dramas. Because you can watch Raws anywhere. That's not hard. You can find a Raw. The issue is, where can I find it with English subtitles? Or Spanish, or, Italian or Portuguese or whatever. Because, Viki is amazing.
Hindi, for that matter.
Yeah. I mean, Arabic is like one of the most popular
Arabic is
ones.
huge, yeah.
Yeah.
So Viki does have this huge reach outside of the States. And I feel like DramaFever's dominance in the US hasn't bothered Viki so much because they've been expanding everywhere else and DramaFever hasn't. So DramaFever's exclusive licenses are exclusive to North America. Didn't really affect the other services outside of North America. Because, you'd have the US would have DramaFever exclusives, and I'd be able to watch those on Viki because, Viki had them outside of those regions.
The thing as well that's interesting to me about a studio or, a production company or like a
telecoms company, yeah.
Right, exactly. So they're not only now owning the medium through which you're going to watch this, but they're now also they're also owning like
the content
itself. Yeah.
That's actually quite a frightening
level. It is frightening, and it's happening more and more because so I don't know where this is going to go, and like with like it just seems like a succession of like larger things eating smaller things.
The thing that would happen
being good
though,
for the consumer.
Sorry, finish.
No, I just wanted to bring up, like, this is not necessarily something that our K-drama fandom loves, or maybe they do, and I just don't know, but, like, Warner Brothers also, they axed Filmstruck, like, 2 days ago, which is a streaming service that caters to, like, classic films that are usually not available, even, like, on DVD, or you can't really stream them anywhere, and it's, like, a really, like, super hardcore film fans love it, and they also have gotten rid of that in the last couple of days. I think for similar reasons. Yeah, it's a niche of like very fans who really love that stuff and they can't really find it anywhere else. But it's weird to me that they're doing this in the run up to their large release of their own.
But you would think that they would maintain them at least for a bit longer,
because they have name recognition.
Those subscribers over to the new one. And like goodwill is important. I don't know, maybe AT&T is so big they don't care about goodwill, but like for a small to medium sized business, goodwill is everything because you survive on the goodwill of your customers. And the number of people who are not gonna you betray your trust with your subscriber when you could have given some notice. People had data, they had their watch lists, their watch histories, their notes, they had all sorts of stuff.
They also had subscription till next year, which suddenly got axed, and they were not paid.
The subscription can be easily solved because they are going to get refunds. The company can promise that. But what about like people's personal stuff on that? Like, I feel like, for example, say Gmail shut down tomorrow, I would be actually destroyed because my life is inside my email, right? And like my last 12 years are inside that. So I would like to have an opportunity to, even if I know they're going to go and I can't stop it, I would like to have the opportunity to be able to take, it's not a house on fire, or is it? I'd like to be able to take my valuables and run, packing for a journey rather than running from a fire, which is the way that they've made the users feel. I mean, you could have given them a week's notice at the, shortest, 3 days, something, not just disappear one day. I mean, talk about the ultimate digital ghosting. Goodness.
Yeah. Burma, you were going to say something.
Go on, P.
I forgot.
Oh no, sorry. And the other thing So just like throwing out some random stuff here is like, for example, with DramaFever versus Viki, Viki actually had higher subscription rates and higher tiers, so they actually passed on the cost of stuff like licensing to the user, which is kind of funny because they didn't pay their subbers, whereas DramaFever didn't. They kept their subscription rate fairly constant. I think approximately like $5 a month or something like that. Whereas Viki's premium was $10 a month, and then if you added the Cocoa tier, that went to like $100 a year. So was, they had quite a I wouldn't say it wasn't like necessarily expensive, but it was more expensive than DramaFever was. So like Viki has been able to cut costs in really vital and important places simply by why pay for something you're getting for free, as my sister says. And then she's like, you do it to yourself when I complain about all the hard work that goes into it. Just because I've seen how hard these teams work. They work so hard. But they put hours of their lives into it. Sorry.
No, it's fine. The thing about DramaFever, though, is like they've become very legit in the last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I mean, this is like 10 years ago, but when I first started watching Korean dramas, there were no streaming services that provided Korean dramas. You had to like download the RAWs, and then there would be these subbing teams that would subtitle dramas, and
I miss take like a week or two.
Yeah, with us too.
Oh, they were the best. I miss them so much.
They had like super high quality subs.
So high quality.
Sometimes they would have like translators notes explaining things, and
I love translator notes, especially because right now you don't have a lot of Taiwanese and Thai dramas that are streamed on these main sites. So inevitably, that's what you resort to: RAWs and volunteer subs. And you have translators notes on why certain phrases are being used and stuff, and I've completely fallen in love with them.
And because they actually give you a proper translation of them. I mean, this is for another day, comparing the characteristics of translations.
But just to get back to like the sort of the landscape that it was, and there was also like Band of Nuts fun subs were amazing. Like their subtitles for City Hall are the best subtitles that I've ever seen, and like I actually have those hard subbed episodes saved on my laptop, and like when I switch laptops I like transfer that over because I love that drama so much, and I just love the way that they subtitled it so much.
And I like this part of the community where it's not just the drama, but you actually look up that you wait for that particular subbing team or that particular subber to put out their stuff, because you want their translation, you want them to make the notes. So yeah,
I mean, like
it felt very close knit, and you had to like wait. It wasn't like 6-8 hours
instant
after
gratification.
the episode comes out. It's like fully subbed, and I mean we're very spoiled now. But that was like you'd have to wait a week or like a week and a half. Like with some Japanese dramas, you have to wait like 3 weeks. It was. And and you understood because it's like this person is volunteering, and then they're having to do like all the encoding and the timing on all of that. And when DramaFever first started, they stole a lot of With Us 2's.
Oh my goodness! I thought they did that officially, like they had bought them, and then I found out that they had actually just lifted them. Wow.
Yeah, they took them, and like I think after a while, people were like, "What are you doing?" And then they started like crediting them. I don't know if they ever paid them, but like it was kind of people were really mad right when DramaFever came out, and like now. It's sort of
and DramaFever was really aggressive about protecting because they had paid for the rights. I mean, like I can understand them being aggressive. I don't like it.
I'm sorry. If you stole all your subtitles when you're starting out, you don't have the right to like be sending DMCA notices to like Drama Beans and things like that for using screen caps. Like it was just ridiculous. So like I'm not as sad about them shutting down, although like I feel for the people who worked there.
Yeah, I feel like it's really like it's the beautiful irony of life that that they were shut down in this way. It's like what goes around really does come around. I'm not saying I'm pleased about it because I'm not, but you do feel like there's some kind of how ironic. That's it's just so interesting that you should go out this way when you know what you did to everyone else.
So we'll see. I mean, in terms of the American K-drama landscape, like Amazon Prime which is probably like number 2 after Netflix in
Amazon
terms of
Prime
amounts of
actually
subscribers. They had a
piggybacked.
subscription. Yeah, they had a little add-on for
DramaFever.
You could add on to your Amazon Prime subscription, which they don't have anymore. So it seems like now Netflix is going to be the largest provider of Korean dramas
I
to
have
American audiences. So
some
we'll see
extra
where that
info.
goes.
Extra info here is it looks like On Demand Korea, which has always had a really small catalog. Like I remember when I was watching Solomon's Perjury at the beginning of I think last year or something. This year, last year, anyway, a year. They had a tiny library of K dramas, and they were subbed kind of slowly. But On Demand Korea has seemed to have taken on a lot of drama. They've certainly taken on their current dramas.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if the licenses got passed on to them, but what is a loss, a double-edged kind of thing here, isn't a loss or was it karma? Is that DramaFever did have a massive catalog of like older dramas, not just sort of currently airing like, the pre-DramaFever dramas even. So that's like, I mean, there are places, you can still watch them if you know how to use Google. You can still find places to watch them. It's not like they've disappeared off the face of the earth. But I understand that people want, of course, you want to have a legit way of watching it, but also understand that outside of the US, your legit options are not necessarily like the US has options. In this country, in the UK and Europe. Only in the last, I'd say, maybe 3 years, we've had options like Viki, and like we had one option. It was Viki. And in the last year or so, Netflix has expanded their Korean drama catalog. But like before that, even though I came to the K-drama game about 7 years ago now, nearly. But when I was watching the first 3 or 4 years of my watching, it was not, there wasn't any official channel. You just got them where you could.
Yeah, no, that's how it was when I started too.
So, as someone staying outside America and probably not even having options that were open to UK, like DramaFever was never here. So, in my country, I got access to Viki just last year, like paid access to currently airing program. Before that, I could watch older programs that Viki had, and I could sub for them, but I couldn't actually watch anything that was currently airing. And there were no paid plans that I could subscribe to, so I had no options. View was also not available. It just
Southeast
came
Asia,
into the market. Southeast Asia. And so until late 2017, all I had were the unofficial channels, and there have been a lot of channels that started, that ended, and we all had our favorites to go to. So but
I still mourn Drama Crazy.
I have my but the thing is,
Drama Crazy is gone.
I'm not gonna jinx the one that I love most right now, because if that one goes down, I don't know where I'm gonna go, because it has like the best catalog right now, and that's completely inaccessible to me. If I like Viki doesn't have most of those dramas. If I want to watch an older drama, I have to go to these particular sites. But here's the thing: if I was given an official, like as soon as Viki came to the market, I subscribed. I wanted to subscribe to View, but View actually didn't have anything I wanted to watch. But I subscribe to Viki. I actively watch stuff, even though it's probably because there's always a day's delay while the subbers work, and whereas in the unofficial ones, the subs get done a lot faster. They're not as good as the Viki ones, but they get done faster.
One thing, can I add here? Sorry, just because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding here. Any subs you see on unofficial sites have all been lifted from official ones, just to get that clear.
Okay. So I couldn't watch it on the unofficial channels, but instead I wait for it to come on Viki, because I like it. I like Viki's subs. I like that I'm watching it through. That's my tiny contribution to this industry that I like, that I'm paying for, that I'm subscribing to it. But even more than that, I just like that there are other things that I like. I like the comments that I can see on screen while I'm watching the drama, and that's like an interaction that you have with other viewers. Like Vicky has the best comments. It's amazing.
They're hilarious sometimes.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I would if DramaFever was here, I would have subscribed to DramaFever by now. If I'm given an option between an unofficial and official channel, I would go for the official channel. But I don't have that option. So I go for the unofficial ones. And because I love this industry, I'm not just going to stop watching because someone might cry pirate. But yeah. But here's the thing. Now that DramaFever's gone, you are going to have other, like in America, Canada, and UK, you are going to have other channels come up sooner or later. But while that happens, people will have to resort to unofficial channels. Like, I mean, if they want to watch currently airing dramas.
Yeah. Like Burma was saying about Vicky and how much she likes their subs. I think for me, Vicky has been kind of the real, the one place that sort of carried on the legacy of fan subs. I mean, they actually are fan subs. It's just that somebody's making money and it's not the subbers. But yeah, the best subs are still coming out of fan subbers, and the fan subbers have pretty much gone to Vicky.
Yeah.
So I know that Sai, you said that Cocoa might have like started this entire snowball effect with raising the price of the licenses. But since it is an attempt by the industry, by the Korean drama producing industry, to have a handle on how the international audiences get access to their stuff, this might not actually be a bad thing, because so far most countries don't have official access to these dramas. And if the industry itself wakes up to the fact that international audiences are a big chunk of their revenue, and that and they want to direct how people get access to their content, that's maybe not a bad thing, and it may be giving us more options in the future. So I am a bit optimistic about that, especially coming from a market where I do not get access to most of Korean drama content.
Can I answer that quickly?
Yeah.
So I think that's quite an optimistic way to look at it, and I wish that were true. I wish that was true, but I honestly think it's about money. Because if at the end of the day, everyone wants to make money. That's more important than transporting your culture.
Yeah.
We're talking about private companies. We're not talking about, for example, the Korean government, which does have this, it has branches of government which are specifically devoted to the transmission of Korean culture in a positive way to the rest of the world. And, there's funding that goes into that, and there's policies and there's initiatives. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into this, the transition of how you yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this here is a company thing. This is about money. It's always about money.
Yeah.
So this isn't about the experience of the international.
But would you guys agree that Korean the industry, the actors, the creators of these dramas are becoming more and more aware of the influence of international audiences? You see more and more effort to sort of collaborate with other collaborate with Netflix, for instance. Like you had Mr. Sunshine.
Because Netflix gives you money.
I agree, but look, everything, all of these things are going to be driven by money. That is just going to be the foundational thing.
In a couple of yaks ago, where we talked about how
where we talked about Netflix,
it gave show producers creative freedom, but again, that's a different aspect of the production.
I've been like just small mentions in. I was watching a drama in the last week. I don't remember which one, maybe Beauty Inside, where someone was talking about some decision that had been taken by an agency, and they were like, "Oh, it's because of the international audiences." Oh, it was Beauty Inside, about this girl from this kid from this other country who was a fan of a Korean actress. It's the Hallyu wave, said with some contempt as of how dare they try to influence our stuff. But still, they are becoming more and more aware of audiences outside, and we do have a certain amount of influence. I'm hoping that this leads to better access to their content in the future, even if it isn't like immediately done.
Yeah, we'll see what
Access
happens.
is good, but quality is important. I feel like
Yeah.
we're getting a trade-off in quality in favor of access. So that's my last word. My last word.
Okay. Well.
We have another piece of news. Anissa, you wanna tell them what happened yesterday? It happened yesterday. Tell them.
Yeah, it was very exciting. We had a very lovely professor from
University of Wisconsin, Madison. There you go.
University of Wisconsin Madison. Her name is Leah, and she used our podcast about our episode about men behaving badly in her graduate seminar, which we were just like blown away by. So shout out to her.
I want to take that class. So all of you,
right? I'm going to Wisconsin.
University of Wisconsin students who had that class, you're so lucky. Wow.
Right.
If I knew I could study this kind of stuff at uni, I would not have gone and studied science, okay? Why did they do that to me? This is what happens when you grow up Asian. Gosh.
But anyway, we were very excited and we were very honored and very touched, and we wanted to just thank her and give her a shout out on here. So thank you so much for thinking that our thoughts were like that important and for calling us band scholars. I was like, what? So that was amazing.
And if you have lecture notes, please send them to us.
You know what it does do though. I'm sure they never thought about this, but when you hear that somebody uses content that you created in a way that you didn't expect, that they actually use it to discuss stuff like transnational discussion on the Me Too movement, that just, at least in my part, it inspires you to make more of this stuff. Like just make episodes on things that you want to talk about that may not be directly, like it may not be just about Asian dramas, but about things around Asian dramas and more topical that we often want to do but we don't do because we have time constraints. It takes so long to edit each episode. There are so many other things. So this is a very awkward way of introducing the fact that we're thinking of starting. We're not thinking. We are starting a Patreon page, and guys, please jump in.
Okay, so like we've been doing this for about a year, a little over a year, and we've been putting a lot of time, especially Barma has been putting in tons of
much time.
Yeah, because she does the editing.
So guilty about
She's
this.
amazing. She does a great job. It does take her a lot of time. So
but if there's if we have listeners who love what we do and who want us to be equipped as well as we can to keep on doing this, it would make a huge difference to us. And like I said, we're going to keep on doing this, but we do suffer with the lack of equipment sometimes, and I'm constantly guilty over the time that Barma puts into this because she doesn't do work that she gets paid for to do in order to do this instead. So it's like, if there was anything we could do to make that less of a burden.
But it's not just that. There are also other things that we need better microphones, because often our audio quality is not really great and our listeners suffer for that. We try our best to make it as clear as possible, but it's sometimes we can't help the network, but mostly it's the quality of our microphones. I think amongst us, Anissa's the only one who's got a half decent microphone. And I have she's got a amazing one, yeah.
which I borrowed from my lovely brother. So it's awesome.
You guys have it good with brothers, but I don't have one, so I can't steal his microphone.
You can have one of mine. I've got two.
Great. Alisa, we were trying to make a point about how we don't have equipment.
No, I mean, you can have one of my brothers. I've got two.
Oh, okay. Okay, so but the other thing that I really want to do is, if possible, I want to make transcriptions of our podcast, because there are plenty of people who would prefer to read our discussions and or not just prefer, they might not be able to listen to our podcast. So we have these hopes, and there are topics that we want to cover that we can't because of the cost constraints.
So and ways in which we want to expand.
We do want to expand, and So yeah, we have hopes, we have plans, and we need a little bit of help to implement them. We have tiers on our Patreon page. You guys can check it out. The links in the description below. And if you guys, it's $1, $3, and $5 per month. Whatever you subscribe to, it'll only be debited once a month, and you guys do get some bonus material if you guys subscribe. So please go check our page out. If nothing else, just take a look at it and tell us if there's any way we can improve the page.
Or if there's something else you want us to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just suggestions would also be super helpful.
Yes. So.
Yeah, but guys, if you can't, it's perfectly fine.
Absolutely, we love you.
Love you guys for listening so much. Just keep talking to us, leaving comments, and give us emails and tweets. We love those. And if possible, please share our podcast, because that, I think, is like the biggest way you can support us.
Yeah, every little helps.
Yes.
Okay. So, shall we talk about dramas? What have you been watching?
Let's
do it. I'm ready.
Okay. So the very first one that we were confused about initially because they kept changing the name, and then we got a little excited with the first episode, I think, because it was so cute and whimsical, was Fox Bright Star or
I was not excited about.
No, yeah, we weren't excited about.
Excited, maybe.
No.
We were excited.
Let me remind you guys. Let me remind you guys. The first episode, just when it started, we were a little excited. It had such a whimsical tone.
Just before it started, right? And then as we carried on watching it, that excitement waned because.
See, I think that happened at the end of hour one, because their first episode was like half hour, right? So especially,
I watched them in hour blocks, so I kind of go with the first episode.
I think by the end of hour two, we were fuming. There was so much like that was going wrong, and we didn't want it to go wrong because there's so much potential. And okay, I'm gonna let you guys talk about it first, because I think I've already said my piece in a post I wrote for our blog, but you guys go ahead first.
All right. So I mean I wasn't super excited about this premise because it's like an airport, but Lee Jae-hoon, Chae Soo-bin, like who doesn't love them? They're amazing. They're beautiful. They're lovely. So yeah, I was excited. It seemed kind of the previews and the names seemed kind of whimsical. So I was like, okay, maybe there's like a little bit of an extra shining part to this that doesn't get expressed in like the airport premise. But I had a pretty negative reaction to the first week's episodes. Like I just found the heroine to be like extremely unlikable, and I found that it was framing the narrative in a kind of a problematic way where like the hero was just there to be a hero and save her, and she didn't really have any kind of like self-reflection or self-awareness or so I was not happy with the first week. And then like the second week, and then now we're like in the fourth week, right? Episode 7, because this week I think there was a preemption on Monday, so it only aired one episode.
Yeah.
And like she's become a lot more likable as a character, but I also feel like in the second week, instead of developing her character from a very unlikable heroine to someone who is like learning things and becoming a better person, they were just like, oh, psych, like there was all this other extra flashbacks that you didn't see that explains all of the horrible things about her.
Yeah, she's not actually horrible. She's just a victim of misunderstanding.
Yeah, and now it's all about the hero's journey and his robot arm and his pain and her. It's just, I don't know. Like the love story has gotten going, and like they're cute, obviously, but I don't know. I'm like have a lot of feelings about it, which I'm kind of conflicted.
So despite the apparent retconning, I do love the way it's gone. But then I think I also am not that good at noticing or being critical when a story does shift from being sort of heroine-centric to being hero-centric if I find that hero compelling. And I mean, it's Lee Jae-hoon, I do. And there was this moment in one of the recent episodes where he's walking down a corridor with a walkie-talkie, and you're like, my heart. Yeah, signal. Sorry, Pete.
I certainly learned way more about airports than I ever expected to. So there is that.
I actually
But
find that really interesting, you know.
yeah, I do.
No, it is more interesting than I expected at first. That's true.
Yeah. And
Or
also,
what do
I
you
really
think?
like the I really like the side characters. Like, I really like their immediate supervisor. I'm Young Kun, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, the manager,
Forgot the
redhead manager.
manager.
I'm
Yeah.
just calling her the redhead manager. Sorry, I don't know her name.
Okay, let's call her manager Young then,
Yeah.
because I don't remember her first name.
Young Kim
And
Jung.
also the evil stepbrother. I'm not sure what his deal is, but it just he's really pleasant to look at, and he seems tortured somehow. So
Oh, I
Oh,
hate him.
I really dislike his character.
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
he's overbearing and bullying and officious,
he's
and then women.
awful.
No, but then at the same time, they make it like this. There's meant to be something redeeming in him, and it's like I don't find that redeeming because he's still a terrible person.
But did you guys watch, like, in the recent episode he was talking to Manager Young, and he was like, whatever happened to Lee So-yeon, something equally bad happened to me, and we're all thinking, wait, the
No,
the, the,
I
the
don't think
guy
so.
lost his limbs. No.
And
No.
his will to live, and
Yeah.
Also,
no.
he's like so obsessed with himself that he doesn't care about anything that happens to anyone else. Like he's
And
so...
he's
yeah.
sorry, go on.
No,
He's
like,
actively
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go on. Oh, he's actively gone out of his way to persecute, like not just disadvantage, but actually persecute. What's his name?
Lee
What's his name?
So-yeon.
not only
He's
persecute him, but he's like using his disability against him at work.
Yeah, and that's so
Oh, you're such a
cruel.
monster.
Yeah, so wrong. Like I can't root for you.
I really don't want these two brothers to become all,
Yeah.
Jung Dong saying thing at the end. Please
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
I don't
please
think you
don't.
can relieve this
I
dude.
want him to be punished. And also, he's all like, "How dare you be alive?" And it's like,
How dare you be in
Really?
front of my
That's
eyes
so
and make me feel
strange.
guilty? What the
Yeah.
hell?
Why are you all
That's
so okay? I'm like,
I
what's
can't
wrong with
relate
you?
to that emotion. I can't relate to his emotion at all in that whole like what is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I don't
really
know.
strange. He's a strange character. I love the security team though.
Oh, I was about
The
to say.
security
Oh yeah, they especially I think
Na
Ojeki,
Young-ju.
that's
Right,
the
I really like the
Sunbae.
girl.
I like both
Yeah,
of
Na
them.
Young-ju is
I
very
like
sweet.
both of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
And
nice.
there's gonna be like roommate hijinks next week, so I'm gonna really looking
man,
forward to that.
I'm excited about that. I'm very excited. I
Okay,
actually,
but
I kind of want Na Young-ju to like put her in her place a little bit because like the hero definitely is not doing it anymore. That
Yeah.
No,
went
he's
away.
become all soggy. He's all like, oh, I told you some harsh truths before, but I apologized for it.
But do you know what
It's
I
not
really
like-
did like? Oh, sorry. Go on. Go on. Finish what you were gonna say.
Oh no, I was actually gonna ask you guys if you didn't find it a bit too melodramatic the way every time they focused on his arm, and especially that particular scene where he was revealing his arm, the number of shots, like just the look away and look again type shots that you were
And
having.
the
You had
obvious
this kind of-
CGI.
Oh my
Yeah, the
God.
arm stuff is really, it's very good.
But why are they making such a huge deal out of it? That's what I want to know. Okay, fair enough. It's amazing advanced technology. I'm assuming, unless it's magic, in which case, whoa. But
That's not magic.
Maybe that's the deep dark secret. It's like black magic.
Gumiho magic.
That's the only time. Yeah, then it would be like justified all the melodrama.
But there are so many really weird things that happen. Like there is that moment when he's standing in his room and he opens this secret, I don't know, something behind a bookshelf, and there's this blue light spills out, and then nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Do you know what? I'm such a sucker for that tone. You know, that sort of magical realism tone.
Yeah.
That it almost
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. You've got a cast I love. You've got this emotion that is just like I can buy it. I'm such an easy sell when it comes to certain things. So just the whole, because like fantasy romances, like K-drama does the emotion of them really well, and it does.
But there's
really
there's no
interesting
fantasy.
themes. No, I know, but because that's the kind of mood that they were selling. Like, as we were going into it, we were like, "What is this drama? I don't know. Like, what is it?"
There is a
And then
bit of
as you're watching
fantasy.
the first episode, it feels like that. Yeah, but then you get the the robotic arm, and then you're like, oh, maybe this is like a
But let me just
cyborg drama.
point this out. His robotic arm just covers his forearm. There's no way that arm gives him that kind of strength.
That's
Like,
true.
it does not make scientific sense.
You know,
That
as in this
strength
is
would
super
come from his
advanced
shoulders.
science. This is not like
It's almost
you know.
more like a superhero.
But
type-
this is
Yeah.
worse than like Marvel's everything quantum theory. I mean, everything is quantum,
Yeah,
and that
it makes
explains
Like, it
everything.
doesn't have to make sense. It just has to work, okay? And it works.
Yeah, it
That's
works. It works.
enough.
True.
But the thing that I really do like, the thing that sells it to me, the most, the reason that I keep on watching at this point, is because I like the way their relationship beats work. I mean, I'm watching it partly for the side characters as well, but between Chesuin and Lee Jae-hoon, the way that that relationship is developing in terms of, you know, like that moment when she asked, "Do you like me?" And then, okay, they have a really long beat,
Oh
and
yeah,
he's like,
I love
yeah.
it.
It's so good. Like, you don't get this in dramas, okay? It's just like you can give it to them straight, and it is like, this is the best thing.
I do
And
really
then-
like how honest they are with each
Yeah, and that is like, that's the best thing about the relationship, and that is, you know, why I'm still all in for them.
I think my reservations
I
at
don't
this
think-
point are mostly just that, like we were saying, the shift from it being her story to becoming his story. So I
To be
would
fair,
like.
it was not her story initially. It was just that both of them seem to have their own arcs going, and
Yeah.
then suddenly her arc gets diminished, whereas his arc takes over the entire space.
And everything that she's been doing in the last couple of episodes have been related to him, right? There's
Yeah, directly.
really
It's no longer about her. Yeah, it's no longer about her figuring out her place in her workplace. It's about her not letting other people think that she has a relationship, or it's just.
right.
I mean, I get
especially-
it. Her worries are valid. Like, people making fun of you because you have an in-office relationship, for instance, which is one of the rumors that was going on. And she was panicking about it, and he didn't understand. Her point was completely valid, that she was the one who would suffer
Yeah.
in these kind of dynamics. So I completely appreciate where this is going right now. If they hadn't started the way they had started initially, if you're gonna give me an unlikable character, which is fine, I was really invested in how unlikable she was. I was like, what? This is unexpected, and I hate her. Where does this go now? And then she just had this weird retcon where they were like, no, everything was misunderstanding. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
that.
Can I just
And-
make a quick? Sorry, go
Yeah.
on, Nisa.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, just to make a quick comment on the really great blog post you wrote about that, about the flawed heroines, and it reminded me of, you know, in Witch's Court, because I was thinking, do we really like flawed heroines? Because I'm like, I don't. I hated her so much in those first 2 episodes, first 2
Did
hours,
you?
that
I loved her.
Oh man, you know what? I didn't, because, and this is, I talked about it a bit on Twitter. This is partly because I supervise people at work, and I need
Yeah.
people to do their jobs. It's
Yeah.
just, don't walk around doing other things and then want credit. It just made me so angry. Like, just everything about it made me so angry in a personal way, right? So
Yeah.
the only reason I was willing to carry on is because it was Chesuin and because I love her.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I that's the kind of heroine I would not stick with. But then I remembered, just like before we started talking, I remembered Witch's Court, like Jung Yeon's character, in that thoroughly unlikable, yet somehow not unlikable, deeply flawed, like so many problems in the way she did things. Yet you kind of still there was something in her that you could root for,
So
that you
Yeah.
stuck around for.
Oh yeah, I absolutely loved her. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about not liking the first couple of episodes of Witch's Court.
No, I
She
did.
was
I loved
amazing.
her.
Yeah.
All right.
so
But then I like how her character. If you watch,
Yeah, as in that's a
Witch's Court-
genuinely flawed female character who was allowed to maintain, like, keep her flaws, but she also grew.
Yeah, exactly. That is
Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah.
And instead, the thing is that they chose certain aspects of a character that they kept consistent, and one of those things is her worrying about what other people think. That became in the last week that was the main theme that they were focusing on. But
are you
that
talking
was
about
not
Fox
actually.
Bright Star?
I'm sorry, I was talking about first prize star.
Yeah.
But I think the worst aspect of her character wasn't that. It was her neglect of her work while trying to sort of like get Saya said, get credit for other things that she's doing, like saving or trying to save a child or things that
Or interfering in things that are not your
Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly.
She was attention seeking, but she was not actually doing the job that she seemed to think that
Whereas
that was not
if
important.
she had done her job, she would have got credit for doing her job because that is what you should
Exactly.
do.
Yeah, and then she was like, all like, oh, nobody likes me. It's because you don't do your job.
Exactly. And it's like,
Like
do
the
your
big-
job and everyone will.
She was so petty towards Lee So-yeon's character. Just why? Because he was doing his job and getting credit for it, but she was like, "No, you're their favorite. They hate me. That's why
Yeah, it's
they're
like
not
he's
giving
not
me
getting
credit."
empty credit. He's doing his job.
Right.
That's
I know.
why.
And
Yeah.
instead of dealing with that issue and making it an interesting part of her character arc, then the next week they were just like, oh, but there was just like things that you didn't know about her, and like she
Yeah, she had a sad childhood.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
well,
she
so
got
do we all,
wrongfully,
but it's like,
and like she was, the people that she was beating up were actually gangsters, so it's like it's all okay. Like it was just such
I
a
did really
weird
enjoy
writing.
Yeah,
that
and the other time that she was cussing someone out, she was being sexually harassed. But when her boss asked her why she did it, she said absolutely nothing. She just ringed her fingers and let him cut
Yeah.
2 months' pay. How does that even make sense?
So that aspect, and then this part, like spoilers for episode 7, where like even her storyline with her dad, which seems to be like a big part of what's coming up, is also going to be connected to him. So it's all connected to him in the end.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love the two of them. They're very cute. It's like the side characters are wonderful.
Yeah.
I love Na Young-ju. I love the fact that they're roommates. So I'm gonna keep watching.
do you think Youngju has a crush on Seon?
On her Sunbae?
No,
Oh,
on
yeah.
Lee-seon, on Lee Jae-hoon.
I don't know. Her Sunbae definitely has a crush on her though.
Oh, yeah, he does. But does she have
She
a crush on
watches-
Thingy? Yeah, the way she.
definitely watches him a lot. So
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's
It's
hard to
cute,
tell
though.
because she's very like poker faced.
Oh, I like her so much.
Oh, she's the best. And I love how like now she's the only one who's still calling out Jae-subin on her crap. So that also makes me happy.
Like she's exactly who Chisabun needs in her
Exactly.
life.
Yeah.
Like just no
True.
BS. Don't
Okay.
even try it.
Okay, so next, I wanted to talk a little about Beauty Inside, which I started and pretty much caught up within a day's time because I loved it so much. I didn't actually love it initially. Like just when the drama, in the first 2 episodes of the drama, it seemed to me that, okay, so a basic premise. You have Seo Hyun-jin playing this actress, this famous actress, Han Se-kye, and she every month for about a week she vanishes, and she has a really bad reputation of making public spectacle of herself. But she's also super popular, gets lots of commercials. Arira. The drama starts with this huge thing happening, and she runs away right in the middle of it. So it starts with a scandal, and she has a contract with this airport, I think, that is run by Seodoje. Seodoje, I'm pronouncing it right. That's played by Lee Min-ki, and oh my god, I started watching this for Lee Min-ki. Okay, I'm seeing him in something like this is his second drama after the long ass break he took. I don't know if he was taking a break or what. I didn't see him for ages, so I was starved to have him on the screen, and I love him so much. But he's playing this chaebol, but this dude who can't recognize faces. So he's got that thing that
Prosopagnosia.
yeah, that thing. But he's again like he's trained himself to recognize people by other signs. Moving on. So he
Is this
and
why he can recognize her no matter what body she's in?
kind of he figures out certain things about her, and he can always see her. And the thing with Han Se-kye is that when she transforms, and it's this bizarre magic nobody explains, it just started happening to her one day. When she transforms, even her best friends can't tell that it's her. Now they know that it's her because they have like over the years they know that this happens to her. But if they just met her on the street, they would not know it's her. Whereas with Lee Min-ki's character, he doesn't have to, like, she doesn't have to introduce herself to him. there are certain things because of which when he meets her, no matter what body she's in, he knows.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
that is just so amazing. And but the thing is, initially they played that angle where he has her in a contract and he's manipulating her to do his bidding, which is a chaebol trope that we have seen in other dramas, and I have grown to hate. Where, like, especially because I've read a lot of those in romance novels, the Milton Boone type romance novels, and I'm just you get bored of those fast. And so he started doing that. Thankfully, though, like there was even this moment where he put her in this horrible situation. Like he left her in the middle of the street and she had to walk for hours and she was super tired. Then he comes back and he's like, okay, are you done throwing a tantrum now? Like he's playing savior after he put her in that situation. I was so ready to stop watching that drama right there. But right after that, they have a scene where they're just talking, and it started improving from there. Like the moment he realized that she's not this shallow chick who just runs away from all problems, that there is another aspect to her, the drama stabilizes, and then now it's at its best right now. It's at its peak. I think it's episode 7-8 right now. They are in a pretty amazing place in terms of relationship, and the drama has a quick pace. And if anybody watched what was that alien drama? Another star.
You from Another Star?
Right, You from Another Star. If you guys have watched that, do you remember the arc that the female lead's career took, where she was like being displaced by the person playing second lead, la la la. A lot of those things were happening. Something similar is happening with Hansege's career here. And Hansege is such an advocate for speaking up when something is going wrong. That's one of the reasons that she has so many scandals. Like if she sees sexual harassment or someone importuning a junior, she will step in, even though that makes her look awful and everybody gets embarrassed. She'll do it anyway.
Oh,
I love her character here. Yeah. And Soroje is just, he's hilarious and he's poignant and he's sweet, and he has this completely blank expression on his face that is a little hard to adjust to initially, but then you realize that he's doing it deliberately. It's because he literally, when he looks at other people's faces, he sees nothing much. It's almost like a blank canvas. He can see the eyes, the face, lipsticks, and all of that stuff, like any markers on your face, the way your hairstyle is. He can see everything, but he cannot place your face to a name, right? So it just, there are no, like, emotions don't play on his face until he starts developing a relationship with Hansege. And I think that was a deliberate character tell that he did. And I appreciate it. I really like the drama right now. So
Eamon Kim pulled something like that off, where other people might just look like a robot.
Yeah, and he just
gives a whole new meaning to time of the month as well. So
yeah, actually, I was thinking of that.
Oh wait, so it's like doesn't happen to her all the time? It's once a month?
It's once a month and it's always for a week. Usually.
Okay. So you get a significant chunk of time where she's actually herself. Because I was wondering about that.
Yeah, but imagine like you're working in an industry where they are like, you're trying to schedule commercials, and let's say you're working in a drama, then they have a tight schedule, and suddenly in a 60-day period of shooting, if you're not available for 14 days, that inconveniences a lot of people.
Yeah.
So she and they show that how her career is affected because
in that case, yeah.
But she has two really great friends. Oh, and do you guys remember Idahi? From I Hear Your Voice and that other drama, Secret Love. I love her so much here. You know what she's doing, character she's playing here? She is playing Seoroje's younger sibling, but also she's playing the typical male second lead role where you have him in competition with, the second lead guy in competition with the first lead guy, and they are both like sort of like business rivals but siblings, and they both fall for the same girl. That she's playing that brother character here. Well, she's a sister, but yeah, I love it. I love the subversion of the trope. And she has this rivalry with Eamon Key's character, and Eamon Key looks at her as a younger sibling, but she's like, no, your family is not my family. And anyway, you guys have to watch it.
So I love her. Is she interested in So Hyunjin's character?
Oh, no, she's not interested in her that way. She's just it's a rivalry that's the primary thing in her life. She has to prove herself to the family that she's better than Seoroje.
Okay.
Oh, right.
And whereas to Seoroje, the competition isn't that big a deal. He tries not to be petty towards her, even though, he will not let her get away with bullshit, but he'll protect her if she gets in trouble. And she isn't comfortable with the fact that he treats her like that. She refuses to acknowledge that because they're step siblings. They're not. There is that gap. But the funny thing, Aman, she has a lot of really cute, funny lines here, and just this one time that she gives Seoroje a fish, and he takes it back to his office, and he has this whole tank full of fish where he practices recognizing the fish because that's one of the things that he trains with. And he puts it in there, and his assistant, who knows everything about his disease, that's a secret from almost everyone. His mother's the only other person who knows, and then Hansei figures it out. But so his assistant is standing beside him, and they're watching the fish, and his assistant is like, "Are you sure she didn't bug the fish?" And then back in her office, Kamsara is sitting there, and she's like, "I should have bugged the fish."
That's cute. All right, you sold me. I'm definitely gonna watch this when I have time.
I'm still on the fence.
Yeah.
But I'll wait and see how both of you feel about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you watched the film, Barman?
No, I have not watched
I have
it.
not. I have it. I have it on my. I have it like really high on my watches. I completely
I have it on
forgot
my list
that.
too, but I just keep forgetting.
Are you either of you gonna watch it now or after the drama?
After this drama ends, I probably will though, because I love the trailer. The trailer was so amazing, and they have so many amazing actors guest starring in that one. So.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I started watching it, but then I was like, "This is like I don't know," and then I didn't carry on.
But you would really like this drama, I promise you. If there is any problem you have with this drama, it's probably going to be in those first 2 episodes where they do that whole Chebol thing, the arrogant, manipulative Chebol line, that plot. But once they move out of that, it becomes so much better.
Putting it on my
I really like
Thanksgiving
the
watch
cast.
list.
Yeah, the cast is great. So the next one is Terius Behind Me. Anisa, Sai, both of you are still watching this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We sold this to you, Anisa.
Yeah, Saya sounds like a little less excited than me.
No, I just I'm waiting for you to go first because you didn't watch it last time, so.
Yeah. So you totally sold me on it. I started watching it. You were so right. I love it. I think what I love the most is like the spy stuff is very ridiculous, but not in a way that like makes the drama worse. It's just fun, like it works. It's
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Like every time someone needs to be rescued, like, or they have some kind of a mission, like suddenly they're all wearing suits, and like at first it was only Terius, but now like all the neighborhood underlaws and stuff are all doing it too. It's great. And then like he suddenly, like whenever he has to like inconspicuously go on a mission, he takes his like bright blue sports car. I'm like, what are you doing? So just kind of like but it's great because like the show seems to be in on the joke. So I'm fine with it.
It doesn't take itself seriously.
No.
It's not trying to make you think, oh, we're trying to be so hard. And it's like, no, we're really running with this and just having fun.
And there's so much heart in every interaction between all of the characters. It's just a really great ensemble cast. It's very heartwarming.
And there is no such thing as too much soju sub with babies. It's just, that's like...
Yeah.
I could actually watch that drama all day with it just being about him playing with the kids.
He
with
does
that
such
straight face.
Yes, he does such a great job of being this like serious, overly large lump that has like a marshmallow for a heart, and it's just like it's very easy to melt. And like he does it with the kids, but he also does it with Jung In-sun's character.
Yeah.
Like she does something and he's just like, "You're adorable." Like you just see it in his eyes. He's like trying to be hard, but he's not. He's not tough at all.
Yeah, I think you get the sense that he's just kind of wounded, not like, dead inside. And it's, I could watch it. It's the first thing I watch on Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's so easy to watch. You don't have to, you can just press play and watch it. With other things, I have to kind of gear myself up a bit and like get into the right mind space. But with this one, it's just, this is fun, pure fun.
Although, like, it's gotten all of a sudden like surprisingly really dark in the last episode, and I didn't expect that. So we'll see how if it's able to like maintain its tone and everything with this new plot.
I kind of like, I don't know how spoilery we're gonna get here, but I felt like the thing was coming with what's her name? The
Yura? Is it
uh,
Yura's mom?
but that didn't seem to come out. How are you up to date?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Okay.
watched the last episode.
The one with the NIS boss, the guy who is, what's his name? Oh, what's the, what's her name? The character, the Kingsbag Sejong.
Oh, Yujian.
Right. Gia. Right. So Jian's boss, about how pushy he was getting about, oh, so you've been talking to Terius, have you? And you haven't told anyone. I was like, I kind of felt those vibes from him even earlier.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious.
That doesn't surprise me, but I'm scared now because she doesn't suspect him at all.
And also like if in the latest episode, this new kind of threat from this company that's doing this like really dark and horrible thing, and it's connected to like one of the characters in the neighborhood association, which like makes me kind of sad,
But because they showed the shoes in. Oh wait, no, isn't Yura's mum the one with the husband?
Yes.
Right.
She's the one whose husband is involved in something much darker than she actually.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And he's like legit bad. But then at the episode before that, in last week's episodes, didn't they end with a shot of like a pair of red shoes in Sungyappa's house, in Kang Kyung's house?
No, they didn't.
Oh, where was the red shoe shot then?
Red shoes has just been like the red shoe lady meeting with like various.
But no, like there was a pair of red shoes in his house. Was it not? Did I watch that wrong?
I don't think there was a pair of high heels, but they weren't red.
Were they not hers?
But okay, I mean, we haven't seen his wife, but like it's been proven that she's not his wife.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I think it was just a red herring. A red herring.
But that was a weird red herring to cliffhanger on there.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I'm sure it was just a misdirect to, lead people down path, because a lot of the other stuff is very obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a cute show. It's hilarious.
And Son Ho-jun is great. He's just
Son Ho-jun is great.
Yes, the best character.
He's the best like villain who turned out to be
pathetic, but in a really adorable way.
Exactly.
He's like such a sniveling coward,
like
but he's also he knows he is.
Yeah. It's great. And his interactions with Soji-sub in this last episode and a half were really great.
And even his even his interactions with like Jung In-sun, but just like he's really funny as
yeah,
like you don't even love to hate, you just love. He's very silly.
Yeah,
he's just a sad man.
Oh. Okay, this is good to know, because like when he was first introduced, that entire scene, that interview scene where he realizes that his secretary kind of screwed him over by advertising for a married woman. That was kind of
like he's ineffectually evil. He tries to be evil, but he doesn't do a good job.
No, and he also like he's bad. He like does bad things, but everyone's like, "You're not a good person." He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry." So it's not like it's a great dynamic that he has with like the rest of the team of characters that we love.
And like the way he talks and the way he delivers, his lines is like it's really like this snooty, but also very easy to bring down.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, watch it.
He's so underrated. He needs better roles like this, but bigger.
Yeah, I think this is a great role for him because it's really different from other things that he's done. Okay, let's move on to the next.
Okay. Barma, I think.
So I was thinking maybe we can just we can talk about Player first before moving on to others, since it's like not exactly the same genre, but
no, actually you're quite right. Player is also, it's like the semi-serious kind of, not quite heist drama, but it's an ensemble of a gang of outlaws, I guess, or people. Well, yeah, outlaws. Yeah. And you've got like Sung Sing-han, who I am a fan of, despite all the Hantel jokes. And who else is in this? Crystal and What's his name? Should I just quickly look this up? Something Shion? Ishian?
Oh
Ishian
yeah.
and somebody else who I can't remember, but who's really adorable. So his whole gang of like petty criminals is like this your sort of classic, not quite classic, but almost classic. They're a three men, one woman band. But you know, you've got the driver, the getaway driver, which is Crystal. You've got the fighter, who is the guy whose name I can't remember. Sorry, guy, I can't remember. And you've got Ishian, who's the hacker, and then Sung Sung-un is the brains. So like the first couple of
Sorry, I
episodes.
just find that.
Oh, you're so cruel.
No, he's lovely. Keep going.
I've had that reaction from more than one person. It's okay. um, so the first couple of episodes is about like how the band comes together and like how they recruit Crystal. And you know, I haven't seen Crystal since I think the drama she did with Rain, which didn't, you know, it was like it was watchable more or less, but it wasn't all that. But yeah, she's pretty good in this. Like she plays this sort of haughty, not haughty, but like snarky, uh, acerbic kind of. She's smarter than everyone as well, so at least smarter than the hacker and the fighter. And so once they're all collected, it's quite linear. Like it progresses in quite a linear way. So there's not like a 1,000 subplots or anything. So first it gives you each member of the band's kind of backstory and perspective. So we've just had from last week. I'm a week behind on this, but the last episodes I watched, we had Crystal's backstory. About how you know, she had grown up alone and she had been in an orphanage, and you know, she'd been betrayed by the gang that had first taken her in, and then she ended up in jail, and now she's come out. She just pretty much wanted to live cleanly, or at least more cleanly than being a member of that gang. But then she kind of got pulled into the gang again, and then this whole situation happens where she ends up being rescued by the boys, who are all like, you know, like, that's our sister, it's our Dongsing, how dare you? Nobody touches our Dongsing, you know? And it's really great because it's got that really sort of warm brotherly feeling. It's not like complicated by romance, it's just a family feeling. Like these, you know, she's one of us, she's
Yeah, so it's like a found family Robin Hood-ish, but I don't know, like
yeah, but there is also
with a heart of gold, you know.
Yeah, and there's, of course, there is that sort of deeper backstory of Sung Sung-hun is trying to find out the mystery of his own father's death. His father used to be prostitute.
There's always a mysterious father.
Yeah. So that there is that sort of, that's the, I think, the overarching story going forward of what they're trying to find out in all of the things they do. It's to get closer to the heart of that mystery. So now they've been sort of he has gotten himself recruited by a current prosecutor who, as you later find out, was a close hube of his dad's. Except it's been a long time, so that prosecutor, who is, by the way, what's his name? Kim Won-hye, you know, the ajashi who is in everything, including like Ghost Detective, the one who was in While You Were Sleeping. So, you know, you've got this relationship between those two, and sort of like he acts like he's reluctantly helping law enforcement, but actually he's actually trying to get something done. So they have teamed up like that. And yeah, it's looking good. I am a week behind, but I'm really enjoying it. It's fun, but it's also like really warm and quippy and one-linery.
Yeah.
I like it.
How is Ghost Detective going, by the way?
So Ghost Detective, you know, I really, really liked this drama in the beginning, and I do still like. It's the second drama I watch every week after Terius. It's like it's got this really wonderful ensemble of super compelling characters. Like every character is really compelling, and I don't mean the actor; I mean their actual character. Like Daniel Cho's character, Park In-bin's character, and all of the others. Like all of the satellite characters, they all are really interesting as characters and with their histories and their backstories. And every episode, it feels like a lot of stuff happens, but not a lot of progression does. So like
So you mean in the larger character development?
Yeah, exactly. Not character development, plot development. Like
okay.
the sort of the long story of this was, the woman in red, who was like a malevolent spirit who has been going around making people die
Right.
or kill themselves. So I'm gonna just tell you the spoiler now because I don't know if you're gonna watch it and the show ends.
No! Don't tell me the spoiler!
Okay, I'm not gonna tell you. Okay, in any case, it takes a while, like with the whole trying to take her down. It has, I think, a few too many turns.
Okay.
Again, this is it's really great. I really like it. It's really tense, and all of the character moments are wonderful, and it's haunting, and it's all of that. But it does, like, you feel like they don't win enough. They like keep on losing. But I mean, there's one episode to go. I am optimistic of a good ending, although I don't know how. But I'm optimistic. I'm not like, I don't think this is the kind of story that they are going to end tragically, because that would just not be right.
I think that's probably going to decide me for whether I'm going to watch it. How the ending goes. If you like the ending.
Yeah. Okay, I will keep you updated.
Yeah, let us know about the ending. I am worrying about the ending of this drama that I have now gotten sucked into and can't stop watching, which is The Smile Has Left Your Eyes. Look, it had Seon Kook. I had to watch it, but like,
I'm surprised it took you this long to get started. I mean, it started weeks ago.
I was trying not to watch it because you guys remember when we were talking about this as an upcoming drama, and we know that the Japanese one does not have a good ending, but
we also know that KDrama likes to give it a good ending.
Yeah, just a note about this, like they kept, but just like a small note, they kept going back and forth on the English name. And they've gone back to 100 Million Stars from the Sky, like as the official English name again, which I don't know why they did that, but anyway, just as a note for people who are confused.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that is a literal translation anyway, so that makes sense. So, but the thing is that I realize that Korean drama sometimes does give happy endings to what originally was not one. But Saya, you would appreciate this. The last time Seon Kook was this smart, intense, and manipulative. I'm sorry, what?
I Remember You?
No. Police Unit 38. And what happened to him at the end? He went to jail, man.
Oh, I didn't watch that one. Spoilers.
Yeah, but I didn't find that a bad ending. I really liked it.
No, it wasn't a bad ending, but come on. You just, I mean, he was such a tragic character.
Yeah,
he didn't get he got justice of sorts, but he didn't, he won in the end, but he also lost. It's...
But so,
has either of you watched the original Japanese version?
No, and I do not want to know anything about the original Japanese version.
This is why I'm like not talking right now, because I'm afraid to say anything.
Hold on till this one ends.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. I was just curious to know if either one of you has seen.
I just haven't had time.
I would not have watched it even if I had time. The moment you tell me that
not the Japanese one, the Korean one.
Yeah, I watched half of the first episode.
It's a bit of a tough sell to you guys, because both of you have issues with those shades of cheating and stuff, which does happen here. Because Seon Kook's character here is definitely manipulative, and he has some plan in the motion. It's probably not a good one. Not a good one, as in I'm sure the plan is great, but not in terms of virtue a good one.
Yeah, no, like I actually really loved the Japanese version, even though it was harrowing and intense and like I cried. But I think in my opinion, it's like one of the Kimura Takuya's like top 3 performances in any drama. I've watched a lot of his dramas and like he's so good in that. And then like the female lead, I think it's Leno Jui, she's also like really, really good. It's my favorite role of hers. And like,
so you watched the first episode, right? How does that
I watched
compare?
half of the first episode. I feel like he has a similar vibe going, and like I think I would be okay. I usually have problems with the cheating thing, but like it's more when the person is presented to me as the hero or the heroine and a good person.
Yeah, here he's presented like as a sort of really moral character who that you should watch out for.
So then in the original version, I didn't have a problem with him because he was the protagonist, but he wasn't necessarily the hero, and the show wasn't trying to sell him to you as a hero. So I was fine with that. So I get a similar vibe with Seong-guk here. He's like very he's kind of inscrutable, and he's like does unexpected things, and people are attracted to him, but they're also kind of repelled by him at the same time. So like he's definitely got the same vibe going from what I know about, like from what I've seen so far as from the original. So I just don't know if I can go through that same experience again. I'm very torn because I love the leads, but I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't know how this thing will end, but till now it's been such it's been an intense watch, but not at I was expecting it to be, I don't know, for some reason I was expecting it to be heavy on the melodrama and really sad and depressing or something, but wasn't. It's thrilling, and it makes me anxious, and then that time I'm watching it, I'm like holding my stomach going, oh my god. It's just...
So once you finish it, then we should talk about why this particular case, it's like a hard drama to rewatch, because I can't really tell you without spoiling it.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you guys think, like, what do you guys think about Seong-guk? Like, do you think his forte is anti-heroes, or...
No, not after replying in 1997.
That was so long ago.
Yeah, but he also did like Shopping King Louis. Like he plays a really good dweeb,
and the thing
is very lovable.
to be fair, he's not exactly the anti-hero here. It's well, he is of sorts, but he's a anti-hero that you can almost just about really, really like, and you can see what is so compelling about him inside the world of the drama. Like here's this guy who wears like very a super, I don't even know, it's not torn up, but just about to be raggedy t-shirt to a really posh restaurant. And he looks all scruffy and he's skinny and you wonder if he's taken a bath, but he's still so damn compelling. You're not surprised when there's this rich, this heiress falls in love with him and is sort of ready to leave everything and run off with him. And it's not like at any point he is being he's gaslighting her or being abusive or manipulating or any of those things. He's actually being pretty straightforward. It's just that people are like, he is using people's weaknesses and their flaws against them. I really like this about this
police unit character.
Right? Yeah, it is. He has the same sort of scary, intense look in his eyes, and when he suddenly smiles, did you imagine that? Did I imagine that look?
Just remembered High School King. Okay, forget that.
I think I think he's very versatile and he can play pretty much anything. And I can totally see him doing a great job with this role. So
yeah, and I think he's nicely balanced with Jung So-min's character here, but Jung So-min does not have a lot of heavy lifting to do in terms of the emotions that she has to convey, but she is a solid actress and she's a solid presence in his life. You can see how while he manipulates other people, why he doesn't do the same to her, why she's different. And it's not because she's a special snowflake. There are certain things that he notices about her, and then she reinforces those things by decisions that she makes in her interactions with him. Anytime he does something awful, she calls him out. Even when she starts developing feelings for him, she doesn't let anything go, you know. And she hopes for certain choices, and when he doesn't make those, she is hurt, and she makes her hurt clear. I really enjoy their dynamic right now. But you know, the person the actor that I am like wholeheartedly in love with, aside from Seong-guk right now, it's the actor playing Jung So-min's oppa, her older brother, the detective, which is Park Sang-woon. Yeah, I have not seen anything else.
You know,
he is
awesome.
Great, and he has that same thing that Seong-guk does, but he as in a more matured character, and especially in his kind of character where he is an easygoing detective. He's not taken too seriously by his colleagues. He's actually kind of bullied by his superior. But there are these moments when he notices something, or you're interacting with him, and then there is this sudden switch where he goes from easygoing to intense. And you can almost imagine him pointing a gun at you and shooting you if he thinks you're a threat. It's that switch is chilling, and I just really, really love his character. And I also like that he's the only one who meets Cheon-go's character and is instantly suspicious of him, to the point where he becomes a bit obsessive. But he's also a good enough detective that he realizes that he is obsessing about it, and that maybe that's clouding his judgment. He questions himself. I just really, really like these characters. So yeah,
far
I'm
it
looking forward to. Yeah.
It seems from your description that they're following the Japanese version very closely, because the characters
no.
sound very similar, and like the way you describe them sound exactly the same. So
No.
I might have to
very
watch
bad
this so I can
because
like compare it.
Remember with Mother, which was also a remake of a Japanese drama, that
Yeah.
they told the entire story of the Japanese version, but then they gave you closure. So you can be optimistic. Is it the same team behind this or not? I don't know.
You know,
I might
I'm not
have to
gonna
look
say
that up.
anything else. Let's just leave it there, and like let's come back to this.
Okay.
At a later
I'm
date.
scared
Yeah.
now. Maybe I'm not gonna start it.
I am gonna try to watch it because I'm really interested to like discuss this with you guys. So if you're willing to like step into this pool,
well, you guys can discuss it, and I'll close my ears if I haven't watched it.
I am going to watch this thing no matter how it turns out. I just
Okay.
can't help myself at this point. It just gripped me to the point where I can't even turn away even if I want to.
That sounds like the Japanese version. I think I just like kept watching because I couldn't stop. So yeah, it's a very interesting kind of story. Yeah. Okay, what's next?
Oh, and the final item on our list. Guys, your Netflix discovery.
Oh, so well, this is not strictly a Korean drama, but it is a drama about Koreans, so it counts.
Yeah.
Does it count as a
totally.
drama? It's a sitcom about Koreans.
We say it counts, so
I
yeah.
say it counts.
Yes, I agree.
So I just started watching Kim's Convenience a couple of weeks ago, and I've just finished the first season. And Anissa, who did not tell me about this.
I thought you knew.
Why
I
would
tweeted about it.
I don't see every single tweet, sadly.
But it was like one of my popular tweets, which there aren't a lot of those, so I thought you've seen it.
Well, clearly I shouldn't like make a point to like check into your page more often.
Yes, I feel unloved.
Do you know what? The problem with me and Twitter is that if I go to my homepage, I will be there for the next 6 hours. So I don't.
That is a problem. Yeah, that's a Twitter problem.
It's
So
like
anyway,
yeah. So anyway,
about the show.
Oh my god, this is like. Do you know what? And I think again, I've probably discussed this before on Twitter. It's that the whole question of representation and what it means and being able to look at media and see yourself. I always thought that whole discussion was a bit overrated because it's like, well, I can see myself when I look in a mirror. Okay, I don't need a drama to show me myself. And
oh, you're one of those. Oh, okay.
No. As I said, that's not really the voice inside my head. But like, you know, there was like I understood intellectually that it might be important to other people, but like I didn't feel like it bothered me or affected me too much. And then like I guess this is the difference between never seeing any representation and then when you finally do see it, you're like, oh my god, this experience, this thing that I'm experiencing, you're telling me that this is a thing that has been missing all this time that I never knew I could experience. Like I literally did not understand that I could have that experience.
Yeah.
So because even with K-dramas, when you have that experience, and because we talked about this in our Origin Stories episode, but we were still talking about something that was outside of our culture. Like it was not English speaking. It was in another country. It aligned with a lot of the things that we were familiar with, but we were still outside it. And in this case, okay, and like, you know, I'm neither Korean nor Canadian, but I still like watching it. It was like, rah. Like you have captured this immigrant experience perfectly. And for me, it's not just the immigrant experience. I mean, there's a lot of universals in there as well. Of course, things like the family stuff, family conflict, family closeness, family distance, family values. All of that is pretty universal. But add to that the fact that, like, you know, I run a shop.
Yeah, I was gonna say the family-owned business. Yeah, that's definitely.
Then, like, I was relating to it on like multiple levels, and I was like, oh my god! Like, I'd call my sister from the next room, be like, come here, quick! Oh my god, you have to see this scene! And then it would be like something that we've had with our customers, and you're just like pain laughing.
Have you gotten to the part yet where like she's like negotiating with her dad about why he doesn't pay her and how she's like,
And then she moves off somewhere else.
yeah, that was great.
All that part, and you know that's the light side of it. But then you have the dark side of it, where her stupid teacher, her professor is like, "Oh, you're so repressed and so abused," and oh my god, it's like, and you're like, "Are you so like, please stop?"
Oh, that was too real.
And like that also, yeah, so real. And you're like, this is like genuinely what it's like. And because like I'm watching that and I'm thinking, like I'm not a white person, so I'm not watching this from a white perspective. It's not possible for me to watch this from a white perspective. So I wonder, when like white people watch this, what are they getting out of it? Because what I'm getting out of it is something so unique to the experience of being an immigrant. And like, are they getting that, or are they just?
But they don't need to get it. It's okay.
Like, but I feel like because it offers a window into that
they
experience.
Can learn about it, but they don't have to. Like, we relate to characters that don't have our experience all the time.
But I think part of it is that
one show.
Part of it is that I want that to be sort of acknowledged, for people to realize these are the things that happen to us. These are truths about our lives that we're not exaggerating or making up. This genuinely happens. This isn't just. It's not like a comedy beat. This is life.
I think some people do, though. I'm sure some white people absolutely would understand that, especially when you have certain themes repeated in not just one TV show, but if there are more TV shows that come after this and they show similar themes again, it just gets into your subconscious and you realize, oh, okay, these are things that happen in real life. This is a real thing that's just not made up for entertainment. And you get it.
Yeah, and no TV show is going to do a perfect job of representing. Like, for example, even with Kim's Convenience, like, as much as I adore it and it's wonderful, there are certain things. Yeah, like, why do the parents speak in broken English?
Yeah.
You know, that's not necessarily a thing. Like, that's not necessarily the way that actual Korean people who have been living in Toronto for like 30 years would necessarily talk. They would still have an accent.
I actually felt like the part of the reason was that in that kind of setup, you would expect them to actually just talk like a mixture of English and Korean. And of course, because it being TV and you want to be, you don't want to have to use subtitles on TV. That's why they had them speaking like that.
Well,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, the part where the family is talking to each other, then they would speak Korean, so it's weird that they're talking English. But then the other thing is just the way. But anyway, I mean, like, obviously it's been simplified because it is a sitcom, right? So like, it's always going to be like kind of tropey and exaggerated for comedy, but like Marma was saying, it does introduce those ideas, and like if you have enough shows that have those ideas, then people start to understand, oh, like everyone else's experience is not the same as mine, and like it's cool to understand other people's experiences and not watch the same story all the time.
From what I've seen with people in real life around me, is that they can validate that experience on the screen, but they can't transfer that understanding to real life, or they transfer it in a weird and warped way.
I mean,
I suppose that would happen with some people, but
I'm not mixing with the right people, clearly.
It's hard to look at anecdotal evidence and say whether something is a general.
Yeah, no, of course. So, that's why I'm saying in my experience, as opposed to this is what people do, because obviously I need better friends.
And the other thing is that shows like this are only now just starting to be made, so you can't expect them to have that much of an influence when there's still so many problematic things on TV and in movies that are having a much bigger impact on the way that people see certain types of people. Like there's like the last 50 years of the way that, for example, Muslims have been portrayed in Hollywood and Arabs. That's not all going to go away because you have like a couple of nice shows that show people as more human and not as terrorists.
I'm waiting for that show.
Right. We don't even have that show yet. Like, we have shows about.
I mean, I feel like it's. Actually, I don't even know if we've taken a step towards it, because perhaps that's too optimistic right now.
But can I point out something?
When is that going to happen? Go on, Pete.
I just wanted to point out something that Saya, you told me a while back, and this is very true. foreign policy, that is never going to be influenced by dramas that happen at home about immigrant families. Like once you're American or English, like you've immigrated with your family and you've been there for years, you're part of that culture. So the stories told in that space, the kids who were born to those parents and grow up in this sort of half space where they're both things. They're both British and Indian, for instance, or they're both Canadian and I don't know American. Just give a mix to the or Arab, and you have these kids who have this unique experience of growing up, and when they are represented on on TV screens, it's their experience. It's not the experience of an Arab kid. It's Arabs are still, like foreigners. They are others, whereas this kid who might be a mix of Arab parents and British upbringing.
That experience of being between the two things is a very different place to being either one.
That's a totally different person than a story. Just because Kim's Convenience, for instance, is a story of Canadian Koreans or Korean Canadians, whichever. I'm sorry, but it's not the story of South Koreans or Koreans at all. There are elements of that culture that comes into this sitcom. I'm pretty sure it does. Of course it does. But that in and of itself will not make Canadians or Americans watch this sitcom and feel more benevolent or accepting of Korean tourists coming in or just Koreans in terms of foreign policy. It's not. That is not what the aim of these sitcoms are either. The aim of these sitcoms is to tell the immigrant story, tell the story of the Koreans who are growing up in Canada or America. It's telling the story of a different people.
No, of course.
So foreign policy is not going to be.
I don't think we're. Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't think we're even talking about foreign policy. It's just like about being accepted as a full human in your own home country where you live.
And as a valid member of society,
yeah, exactly.
And not
foreign policy is like a whole
mistrust and
but the reason I keep saying foreign policy is because it's so influenced by the general public opinion. Like if all of Americans thought Middle East was like the coolest place ever, if everybody in America thought Yemen was like the most amazing place, the people from Yemen are so cool, you would not have any bombs dropping on Yemen. It just would not happen.
The fact that we're dropping bombs on Yemen means that we're not going to get positive representations of them in our media.
But you will not get positive representation of people living in Yemen through sitcoms made in America. You're going to get Yemeni people from Yemen who have migrated to America and stories of them and their family once they have lived in America and have influenced as well as sort of adopted American values, and now they have become American.
But this is kind of why. Sorry, go on, Anissa.
No, I think like this is a huge topic that we can't cover in like 2 minutes. But like basically, what I want to say is that yes, that's true. But at the same time, like if you have Americans who are seen as Americans who also have connections to other places, those other places no longer seem as far away and unimportant and as foreign. So even though those people still remain foreigners, it does decrease that sense of otherness about anyone who's not like a white person, because you do see the connections more. And I think that's valuable. Like it's valuable in journalism, it's valuable in TV, it's valuable in entertainment, but it's going to take a really long time for that to change.
And because it comes down to human relatability. Like why the reason you can drop bombs on Yemen is because you don't see them as people.
Exactly.
If you could relate to them, if you saw them as a human being just like me, you wouldn't be able to do those things because that's what human nature is like.
Yeah, and I think I also just wanted to point out that like the other side of that, it's not only like media representations that create feelings of acceptance, it's also if you accept those people as human, then you will be able to make TV shows and movies about them. So it kind of goes in both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
So last words about Kim's. Oh, I wanted to say something before we end is like It gives me so many feelings to watch like the streetcars on Toronto streets and like to
Oh
watch
yeah,
these, like,
because
Canadian
hometown.
Yeah, it's my hometown. So like that was an extra layer. My dad is the one that actually watched it first. He's like, I've been watching Kim's Convenience. He's like, it's set in Toronto. It's like nice it reminds me of Toronto. I was like, yeah.
Oh, that is really nice.
I like those feels. I miss my city.
Aww.
It does feel really homey.
Yeah.
Like even when it's not your city, it feels like, oh, I could live there.
But it does a really good job of like showing how multicultural Toronto is in a real and not a gimmicky way. Being really obvious about pointing out how like everyone is so different, but they all accept each other and like tolerance and all that garbage. Like it just shows them being humans to each other and being nice to each other and being like neighbors and liking each other, and even if they're different, like it's no big deal. So I just really like that about it. It feels very natural and like a true representation of the city. So yeah. And I am biased, so just take that with a grain of salt.
Well, I live in a similar kind of community, and it's neighbors, friends, frenemies, and rivals. So there's also that.
Yeah, and I mean you do get that too a little bit, but it feels very natural. It doesn't feel artificial.
Mrs. Park cough.
Oh my gosh, the church friends and frenemies are the best. So anyway, watch it, guys. Okay, upcoming dramas. So, as usual, I've only listed the ones that have a solid air date. The ones that are just vaguely listed for November, I did not include because they don't have a premiere date. So we start with Mama Fairy and the Woodcutter, which is airing starting November 5th on TVN. So this is based on a folk tale, and it's about a fairy in the Goryeo period who comes down to this world. She takes a bath. A dude steals her clothes, her fairy clothes, which means that she cannot return to heaven. So he forces her to marry him, holding those clothes hostage. They have 2 kids. He dies from falling off a cliff.
Good.
She still cannot return to heaven because he never told her where he hid her clothes. So she waits for her husband to be reincarnated. And now she has a cafe in the present day, and she's still waiting for him. And after 699 years, she has a feeling that one of the 2 men visiting her cafe from Seoul is her reincarnated husband. And she has to figure it out. And she follows him to Seoul to find out. So that's a story.
I'm really hoping this reincarnated husband has a better character.
I'm really hoping that she's been waiting for him so she can take revenge. This better not be oh, I missed you.
So this is Moon Chae-won is the female lead,
yes,
the fairy, and Yoon Hyun Min is a male lead, and that's a solid cast, a solid lead pair.
It is, but I wish they were doing a different story.
Maybe they will. I mean, Seo Ji-hoon, my baby. So Seo Ji-hoon.
I don't know Seo Ji-hoon. I just
he was in Solomon's Perjury, and he was Guitar Guy in School 2017. He didn't have a very big thing.
Ooh, I like Guitar Guy.
Yeah, but you remember in Solomon's Perjury, the not quite love interest, but yeah, the sort of love interest for the main girl, Go Se-yeon.
Okay, I didn't watch that, so I don't.
Tall and cute, very cute.
That was the impression I got from School 2017.
Yeah, it was kind of the same thing, except he had a guitar in School 2017.
Tall and cute with a guitar. Yeah, I feel like this could be interesting if they decide to go somewhere unexpected.
I'm just looking at the page now, and it doesn't look like is this a rookie screenwriter? Because they don't have anything else listed under their name.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the screenwriter, so we'll see. The next one is Feel Good to Die. The literal title is Happy If You Died, just FYI. Which is basically the female lead's feelings about the male lead, because it's going to air on November 7th, by the way, on KBS. It's got Baek Jin-hee and Kang Ji-won. And she basically, he's an awful boss. He's a terrible person. And she has a dream that he gets hit by a truck. And then she wakes up the next day and it's still the same day. And the synopsis says that it's going to be about her trying to reform him into a better boss and a better person. So that bothers me.
Is she going to keep living the same day over and over again?
I
Groundhog
wouldn't.
Day
Yeah,
style?
I'm thinking maybe it's like a Groundhog Day style, but it's about her reforming him instead of trying to like get back to her regular life. I don't know. We'll see. I like the cast, so it's just that the story is a little bit.
I haven't seen Kang Ji-hoon in anything since I watched Hongil-dong right at the beginning of my drama watching career.
Oh, really? I love him, but he hasn't really done a lot recently. He was really good in Incarnation of Money. And he was also really good in what do I love him most from? I'm trying to think.
Oh, that 50 episode. Is he in Giant or something?
Maybe, but I didn't watch
big,
Giant.
long
Yeah.
melon.
But he's just really good. Like he's really good at playing the hero in an interesting and nuanced way. So I do like him a lot. And I like Baek Jinhee a lot too, but I don't know about this premise. There's also God's Quiz reboot, which is airing November 14th on OCN, which is literally just another reboot of God's Quiz. Do you guys know about God's Quiz? It's about this like medical examiner who like solves crimes.
That had a couple of seasons, didn't it? Like,
It's had a bunch of seasons, but I think it's been like off the air.
so is this
for a
like
while,
an
and it's
actual,
coming back.
like a proper, like a remake type of reboot? Like it's starting
It
again from the
says
beginning?
that he returns to the medical examiner office after 4 years. When did that thing stop? When did God's Quiz stop? Was it 4 years ago? Then maybe they've just carried on.
Maybe, yeah, it's maybe just like repeating. It's like continuing
Like a
after a
sequel
while.
type thing.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called a reboot. So yeah, that's like it's just a pretty standard procedural on OCN.
Yeah, it looks like a sequel though, rather than a reboot.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the original series to
Yeah.
really.
Me
Yeah.
neither. I've never watched it, though. I've thought about watching it.
Yeah, I heard it's good. I heard it's like a good procedural.
But then this is OCN, right? OCN.
It's probably a bit gruesome.
Tends to be a little bit more than I can handle sometimes. Like I tried to watch. Was it what was it called? Something affairs. Team 10. That one. Anyway, and that was too hard. That was difficult.
So the next one I'm like tentatively excited about, although again it has like a problematic hero, which seems to be a trend for this month. It's called Top Star Yoo Baek, November 16th, TVN. It's got Kim Ji-suk, Jun So-min, and Lee Sang-yeob, who are all wonderful. Yoo Baek is Kim Ji-suk. He's a former Idol group member. He's become an actor, but like he doesn't try to be a good guy. This is all from the synopsis, guys. He's self-centered and brutally honest to others, even if it hurts them. He makes big trouble for himself and travels to the faraway island to
This
get
actually
away.
sounds really funny.
Yeah, and then he meets warm people on the island. And I think the heroine is like she owns a supermarket and a dive, and she's also a diver, like a henyo.
This sounds
physically
like
very strong. It sounds fun, right?
Yeah.
No, wait. You know what? This sounds like a plot of a silhouette romance from like the 90s. No, a Harlequin romance from the 90s.
Because we know the difference.
Band boy. No, this famous actor, a famous band boy, this rich city boy. Just he gets so tired of his fame
you're
and
so right.
goes to I don't know Alabama or something and just finds love in a hometown. It's just
or like one of those movies like Sweet Home Alabama or something.
That's exactly what was in my mind.
What I was thinking.
You said Alabama and I thought
yeah, right.
I use Alabama for that, but at least they switched the genders in that movie. But yeah, that was not
That's true.
Yeah.
That movie.
But that was such a popular trope at one point, and I should know. I've read so many of those.
You're right. It is very 90s, but I think I wouldn't really be interested, except it's Kim Ji-suk, Jun So-min, and Lee Sang-yeob, which really makes.
I can see Kim Ji-suk killing this.
Right? He's so good. And Jun So-min, like as a strong woman, I think.
Oh, she's physically a very strong woman. I like that. That's interesting.
So that's,
and it's K-dramas. They take like. They take hackneyed, like it's K-dramas. They take hackneyed tropes from like that other industries kind of like just murder by never trying to experiment with, and then K-dramas take the same tropes and they just make it fun. So yeah there's hope.
So I'm looking forward to it. It's not based on One of these is based on a webtoon. I just wanted to check, but it's not this one. So, and this, I mean, this writer wrote High Kick 3, which was good, I think. So, I really enjoyed High Kick 3. So, I'm looking forward to this. Okay, next we have another creepy priest drama.
Another OCN drama.
Another
So.
OCN, yeah. And this
How
one's
many
about like
creepy
exorcism.
dramas can there be?
I don't know.
I'm still stuck on watching Save Me / Rescue Me, and I'm on like episode 4, and I'm too scared to carry on.
I feel like Rescue Me started this trend of like creepy priest, because it was
Yeah, this is the year of the creepy dramas.
Yeah. So this one is basically about a priest that's a member of a group that performs exorcisms unofficially. So that's, yeah.
That sounds like trouble.
Yeah, it stars Yeon Woo-jin as the Catholic priest, and
Isn't he too baby-faced to like manage looking solemn enough for an exercising priest?
I mean, you don't have to be old. That was just the
Yeah,
Exorcist.
but you have to look like, you know, a spirit would run if they saw you.
Or at least that you've like felt the evil and it's like seeped into your bones and you're like weathered by it. He's not weathered by anything.
He looks like he'd be eaten by it.
So
Which
anyway,
kind
that's
of almost happened to him, right? In one of the older dramas he did. Anyway, carry on.
Oh, I just wanted to mention like the heroine played by Jung Yoo-mi, which is like there's two Jung Yoo-mis. It's like the less famous one.
The Rooftop Prince one.
Say it that way, but yes, the
Rooftop Prince one.
Yes, let's say it that way. She's a doctor. She doesn't believe in God, but she wants to save people, and she's going to have like witness a supernatural phenomenon, meet the priest, have a big change in her life. So maybe it's going to be like one of those crisis of faith type of things. So they're both saving people in different ways. I guess that's what their commonality is. It sounds too scary for me, but y'all are welcome to check it out.
No, thank you.
Yeah, hard pass here.
Yeah, right? The next one is Bad Detective, November 26th. That's airing on NBC. It stars Shin Ha-kyun, Isol, and Baro. Baro is not one of the first billed, but I saw him on the list, and I was like, Baro, I love Baro. So I added
And
him.
he's surprisingly good.
He is so good.
It's a dark character.
Yeah, he's really good. Surprisingly, he's like an idol, but he's so good. So this one is about a lonely veteran detective who only cares about work, but he's kind of morally gray. And then he crosses paths with a female psychopath, which is played by Isol. But he doesn't have any evidence to arrest her, and eventually they start solving cases together.
Is this Isol's drama debut? Doesn't look like she's got much.
I don't know her. I know Shin Ha-kyun.
Yeah, neighborhood lawyer guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot actually. But yeah, it's her first drama. She's been in a couple of movies. She's going to be in Her Story and another 2018 movie. But yeah, she seems like a new actress who hasn't done that much.
I hope she's good.
So, yeah.
I'm possibly going to check this one out.
So
and female serial killers a pretty compelling premise.
It does sound interesting.
Maybe I won't check it out because that also sounds scary.
But it's an NBC drama, so like how bad can it be? It's not like this priest exorcism one that's on OCN, which is like freaking terrifying.
Yeah, but Ghost Detective is also like it's like I think SBS or something, and that's scary. Or at least it was scary, but then it dialed it back by the second week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, one of us would have to be brave enough to actually check it out, which I don't think is happening. Listeners, please let us know if you watch it. It's good. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Ghost Detective is KBS. Sorry, just to correct that.
Okay, the last one on my list is Clean with a Passion for Now, which we have mentioned multiple times on this podcast. It's airing November 26th on JTBC, and this is the one where it had Kim Yoo-jung, and they later cast Yoon Gyun-sang as the male lead opposite from her, and like we had some issues with that because he's way too old for her. But,
also too tall.
I mean, that's okay. I don't have a problem.
I was being flippant. That's a joke. Being tall is fine.
Being tall is okay, but aside from Pinocchio, I can't think of any drama that I watched him in that I've actually liked him in. Do you guys know of
I
drama
don't.
queens?
Well,
I
he's
don't have any
the
strong
lead
feelings
of
about him.
Rebel.
Okay.
In Rebel, the Thief Who Stole the People. The
Which
thing
is
is, I
getting
haven't got to the part yet where it's adult him. So like he hasn't.
Oh.
So I'm still on kid him. But
Which
also,
is not him at all.
no,
Yeah,
but
it's not him
I
at all.
I did watch Doubtful Victory. And you know how I felt about that show.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen him in a lead role. He was fine in Pinocchio.
I don't find
but
him
I just don't have
memorable,
anything.
except in
Exactly.
Pinocchio.
He's
Except in
really not.
Pinocchio.
He's
Yeah,
so
like he's
in Pinocchio,
serviceable and
his
good
his
enough.
blandness worked. Like in
Yeah,
Pinocchio, the adult Young's blandness that his character just it
like his
suited
character's
him.
quite dark in
Yeah,
Pinocchio.
And you
And
also
exactly.
just don't
serviceable.
see him very much or talk to him.
Yeah,
It's more
yeah.
about
True.
the aura around him and the male lead's relationship
Leads us. Yeah,
and his
Yeah,
angst
exactly.
about him.
yeah.
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 This also has Sung Jae-im in it, and like Sung Jae-im is the best.
That's for you, Mary.
Shout out to Mary. But like, also, okay, so the premise is that the hero, I'm guessing, yeah, the hero has misophonia, like he's afraid of germs. He runs a cleaning company. He meets the heroine. She has a bright personality and she doesn't mind getting dirty. And with her help, he faces his fear of germs and also falls in love with her. Which brings me back to my disturbing trend in all of these November dramas, which like all of them have a hero with a problem and the woman is going to help him
Save
solve
him,
his
yeah.
problem. Yeah. Whether that's like his own personality or like his struggles or his job or like all of the above. So I'm kind
But
of
it's not just the November dramas. Think of all the dramas we just talked about in this podcast, like just this episode, like all of them, including the smile has left your eyes. I mean, it's what was the first dramas that we were talking about? Most of these dramas, with the exception of Terius Behind Me, probably has the heroine somehow helping or aiding the hero in his journey.
that's
So-
true to an extent, although I think the smile left
Especially
your eyes.
Fox Star Prize.
Yeah, I don't think falls in that category, but I'm not going to say anything else about that.
Okay, fair. We'll leave that aside
Yeah,
because that one also I'm not entirely sure of. But Fox Brights are definitely falls in that
for
category.
sure. Yeah, I think what struck me is because I do these like I didn't do them the last couple months, but every time I've done them for the month and compiled them, put them together, I kind of like read over them together. And this is the first month where like they've
All of them.
all been like that, like from beginning to end, like excepting for God's Quiz, but I don't. That's just like a procedural, so
Oh, this
we
was
don't
the
really know
one
what it's
based
about.
on the webtoon, by the way, Clean with Passion.
That's right.
Yeah, it actually sounds like a webtoon title too. I bet that's a literal title.
Yeah, no, probably is. But you know, I just after 30 but 17, knowing that it was gonna be An Hyosub instead, as in Chan, instead of Yoon Kyun Sang, just makes me sad for what could have been. Because what a cute
Oh,
pairing would that have
Oh,
been?
I know.
Oh.
That makes me sad too. That's just
But I'm just hoping it's because Chan got a better role somewhere
Well,
that we get to see really soon.
the reason he had to the reason that he dropped out was because originally this was meant to have been filmed sooner, but Kim Yoo Jung was sick,
So
so
yeah,
she had to like pause it,
Yeah.
and then he could
Yeah.
no longer keep the timing, and he moved on to another project. So
Other
it was like it wasn't like acrimonious or anything. It just the scheduling stopped working,
Mm.
and then they
I
had to
also-
recast him.
Yeah, I also feel like the dynamic of her helping him overcome his problems is exacerbated. Sorry,
By
I
the
can
age
talk.
thing,
Yeah, if they were both the
Yeah.
same age or like close to the same age, like it would
then
have
it
been with
feels more
Chan.
equal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then they're just like two friends helping each other through life. But when it's like this much older guy and he's like, "So, are you gonna like help me overcome all my problems?
Yeah.
And I'll fall in love with you in exchange." That's just like a little gross. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is the feel good to die / happy if you died is also based on a webcomic, which is what I was thinking about.
Okay.
So are you guys excited for any of these?
I
Let's talk
think
about what we're excited
I think
about.
November is a bit slim pickings for me. I'll tell you what I'm excited about, like early December, which is Yu Sung-ho's new drama. So we'll talk about that next year.
That's very on brand for you. Yeah. I know, I'm excited. Well, like I'm like cautiously optimistic / excited for Top Star Yoo Baek just because like it just sounds like a fun drama.
Yeah, and so does Feel Good to Die. If nothing else, I like the whole Groundhog's Day concept. If they do it well, it might actually turn out to
That's
be really
true.
fun. So
That's very much
yeah.
like on execution.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna check out Mama Fairy and the Woodcutter.
Because it has that fairy tale element. I might do that too.
Yeah, and I like.
I'm gonna wait for you guys to tell me how the first like 2-3 episodes are, and then I'm gonna jump in.
Okay.
This is going to be tricky to execute well. Like often the synopsis that we get before the trailers come out, they are like, especially with adaptations, the synopsis is more about what the original source material was about than what the drama is going to be about. Drama often treats the same plot a little differently. So I'm
That's
hoping that
true.
when the first time when the fairy meets the woodcutter, that entire thing is changed somehow. I'm just like,
Yeah, and
because I don't think I'm going to be cool with this forced marriage situation.
And it is based on a fairy tale rather than like an IP, which you have much more like strict rules about what you have to keep and what you can get rid of.
Yeah.
So with a fairy tale, you can just get tossed whatever you don't like. So
how good is Mincho at like light-hearted comedy? I've only seen her in Mellows and at Suguk.
Yeah, I don't know if she's good in comedy. I haven't seen her in comedy either. But maybe it's a revenge mellow.
That's so. Oh my goodness.
This is like the only time you'll ever get me like rooting for it to be revenge drama.
Or a revenge comedy. I can take that too.
Oh, that would be good. That would be better actually. Revenge without the mellow.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap it up there, guys.
Yeah. What? No yak jokes?
I've got a joke if you want one.
Yes, let's do the joke.
Yeah.
But it's not a penguin joke.
Oh, it's okay as long as it's an Ajay. It's an Ajay gag. Bad joke.
What do you call a vegetarian zombie?
Vegetarian zombie.
Brain dead. No.
That's a good guess.
I don't know. This one's really hard.
Come on, guys. It's a no-brainer.
That's actually pretty good.
Oh, I had a totally different one. Okay.
I made that one up myself, by the way.
Oh, I'm proud of you. That was a good one.
Well done, man.
This is like what it's like inside my brain all the time.
We're starting to come up with our own.
Okay, next month, Anissa, it's yours.
Oh, God. Okay. Okay, guys.
Yeah. End of episode 9. Wait, no. End of episode. Okay, I'm not even gonna know which episode.
Say the number.
See everybody next month. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening, everyone. One thing, I somehow forgot to mention Boyfriend in upcoming dramas, so sorry! This is a Songhye-gyo Park Bo-gum coming to us in the end of November, and don't worry, we are very excited. I'm completely to blame for that omission. As always, you can find Dramas Over Flowers wherever podcasts live. You can email us at starsinourpocket@gmail.com, you can tweet at us at dramasoverflow, and you can make our day by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. And you can make our month, or even our year, by finding us on Patreon and supporting this labor of so much love. Just look up Dramas Over Flowers or use the link in the description below. Until next time, stay blessed and keep watching dramas!